Have you heard about title companies? Well, I've got 3 ways the title company protects you. When you buy a home, one of the closing costs that you'll see is for the title service. And this can be a scary term for some people, but I promise you, it's actually nothing to have nightmares about. And it's absolutely worth paying for. In fact, the title company's role is specifically designed to protect you. What happens is it acts like a third party, and it holds the money and important documents to ensure that both the buyer and the seller do exactly what they promised to do per the contract. And that protection makes the title service worth its weight in gold. Here are 3 ways that your escrow company protects you. Number 1, it prevents fraud. The biggest obstacle to real estate transaction is trust. The buyer has to trust that the seller will bank their money and hold over the deed. The seller has to trust that the buyer will take the deed and hand over the money. This is a level of trust that a lot of people ask from 2 total strangers, creating a big possibility for fraud. However, a title company takes all this risk away from both parties, making fraud nearly impossible. The title company protects the buyer from fraud by holding the funds until the seller sends the deed, and it protects the seller by holding the documents until the buyer sends the money. Neither the buyer nor the seller have to trust each other. They only have to trust the title company. Number 2, they hold the buyer's deposit or earnest money when the home is purchased. Most buyers will put down an earnest money deposit. This earnest money deposit shows the sellers that the buyer is serious, and it also activates the contract between both parties. The title company protects the buyer by ensuring that the seller doesn't keep the deposit if the buyer backs out of the deal before the deadline. It also protects the seller by ensuring that the buyer doesn't reclaim the deposit if the buyer backs out after the deal's deadline. Okay, number 3, they keep payments from going to the seller permanently. Throughout the home buying process, there's a lot of important contingencies that must be met before the seller gets paid. The buyer must repair if there are any requests from the inspection, and then the bank will need to give the final approval on the buyer's loan. The buyer may even have a home to sell before they agree to the purchase of this new home. Title companies protect the buyer by ensuring that all of these contingencies are met before the seller gets paid, and the buyer doesn't pay for the home if those things don't meet their expectations. They also protect the seller by ensuring that all these contingencies are tracked and documented, and they are met so that the buyer can't come back later and claim that this was not done. Ultimately, I understand that most people feel so overwhelmed, and they see each line item of the closing costs can get a little frustrating. But the last thing you need to do is pay more for what you do or do not have. But the title company is an impeccable place to have them hold your money for both buyers and sellers. Hey, I'm Annette Marble, your favorite Key Realty agent in and around Central Ohio. So if you're thinking about making that move, I can help. I have the free ultimate guide here of finding your house. So if you really want to get your hands on this ASAP, so reach out as soon as you're done watching this video, and I'll get a copy just right over to you. Click on the link below and I will send it out to you instantly. And don't forget, we're always in and around Central Ohio, and we're keeping it real here in real estate with Annette Marble, an associate.